Humankind. We've done a lot over the past 100,000 years, creating amazing things from fire to the wheel, and now the Dogecoin dog, making many people of the younger generation incredibly rich. The game developers over at Amplitude Studios were so inspired by these creations that they decided to make a game about humankind, which came out a few months ago. They considered this to be the greatest game they've ever created. Strategy game critics got very excited about this, with some even saying it would wipe the floor with the Civilization series. Want to play Civilization 6 with your friends? Everyone will be hopping on Humankind in a few months, so make sure to get your games in quick. The strategy game niche has always been fairly small in comparison to other genres, and people thought this game would be something that could go beyond the niche and bring it to a completely new audience. With a big budget behind it, who knew at the time what levels this game could reach? Given the fact they had lots of feedback over the last 2 years, and tons of marketing done for it, a lot of people believed it would be the next big thing. But in this video, we discuss even though it was a good game, and there are a lot of things Amplitude got right, like the graphics. Ultimately, it hasn't met expectations, and in fact, currently hasn't really established itself in the strategy game market as a big player, which can numerically be backed up. Also, we are trying to get to 75,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so why not help us out and consider clicking that button for more content like this. So how on earth do you even play this game? Well, very similar to the Civilization series, Humankind is a turn-based strategy game, spanning across 6 major eras of human civilization, and we start with a nomadic age. I initially found the starting age quite fun for some reason, when you'd go around hunting deer. The way in which you win is by collecting the most fame points, and you do this, initially anyway, by completing era objectives. For example, hunting 5 animals or finding 10 signs. The person with the most fame points by the end is the winner. After the first era, you can then decide which civilization you wish to pick, with each civilization having different weighted era objectives, and also giving you different bonuses. Once you complete enough objectives, you can then move on to the next era, and so on. This is in stark contrast to the Civilization series, where you must stick with one civilization as time goes on. I suppose Amplitude thought this customizable journey through your civilization would make it better than its competitors. But while maybe you could put forward the argument, I didn't particularly feel that strongly about it, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me. Besides this part, it felt like I was playing Civilization 6, especially once I went into the second era. When you start to build cities and the way in which you fight other civilizations, it almost felt like there was a very limited difference between the two. However, having said this, the graphics in this game do not disappoint, and it's some of the best graphics I've seen ever in a strategy game. Also, Humankind is fun, and it's no wonder it's popular to a certain extent, and it's popular for the same reasons as the Civilization series. Some other nice things that have been added as well is that you can now build wonders, allowing you to get some fame. We could keep going on into how to play this game, but I think I've explained the basics, and the main purpose of this video is to discover why it failed, which I'm sure you're here for. The 17th of August 2021, Amplitude Studios, after years of development, finally decide to click the button and release the game to the audience. I'm sure some of them were sweating nervously, waiting to get the reviews. Strategy gamers then chucked their Civilization 6 Steam codes into a fire, becoming the first Humankind Ultras. 2 clicks later, and thousands of people have already bought the game, eager to give it a go. The first reviews are in. Everyone's waiting to see what these brave souls have to say. And well, let's say, the initial response was mixed. I think it's almost expected, but a lot of people initially said it was released a bit too early, and the game wasn't entirely finished. This has been a trend in recent years with a lot of gaming companies, fixing the game after release. Perhaps this gaming company needed the cash flow. Overall though, Amplitude must have been happy initially with the numbers of people buying it. It was even able to beat Civilization 6 peak player number for August, and it got 55,000 active players at one time. Perhaps everyone would now only play Humankind. However, the months following August tell a different story. As time went on, the active player base began to rapidly decline, losing 70% of active players the next month, and 66% of active players were then lost. Humankind therefore went from 24,000 active players to just 2,500 active players only 2 months later. Now, while it's expected that you tend to see a drop off in active players after a release date, the drop in magnitude is pretty unexpected, and quite frankly, given all the hype surrounding it becoming the next best strategy game, it is miles below lots of fairly average strategy games. So, why has Humankind lost so much of its active player base? And I believe the answer lies in reviews and how I personally feel after playing it. Once a lot of people had played Humankind for a couple hours, one word comes to mind: dull. Once the novelty of the graphics have worn off, many people, including me, think it just lacks a bit of depth, and you struggle to find reasons to play it. It's not that I, or many people, particularly despise the game. In fact, I think a lot of people like it in some ways, but it is just a little underwhelming, and very repetitive after a couple games. Once again, a lot of the PC critics, in my opinion, rated this game far too highly, and if I had to give this game a rating, it would probably be around a 6 out of 10. Let's go into some details why this is. Firstly, there are significant balance problems in the game, with some civilizations being far more overpowered than others. The civilization era objectives that focus on agriculture and building, in my opinion, have a significant advantage early on when compared to civilizations who have era stars of war and conquest. It's therefore simply not possible to earn victory with some of these civilizations, making the game far too unbalanced for my liking. And therefore, if your objective is to win, you can't play as some of the civilizations. Another problem I have with Humankind is that geography just doesn't feel important, with lots of empty seas, and I'm not particularly sure the resource allocation of the map is particularly balanced or fair. I think there's still a lot more that could be added when it comes to the map, and it'll make the game far more enjoyable. Other mechanics of the game, like religion and the tech tree, also didn't really interest me that much. It feels a little empty, with a few of the mechanics having no impact on the game as far as I can see. I think these are the main points for me personally. So, taking everything into account, it's clear to me that Humankind isn't a bad game, with lots of good ideas, and it brings great immersion with the graphics. Perhaps, with a few updates, the balance and issues can be sorted out and the map can be added in greater detail. Maybe if the game didn't have such a big weight on its shoulders, the game could be considered a success. But ultimately, for now anyway, Humankind has failed to become a big player in the strategy game market. And given a lot of people like myself feel a bit underwhelmed while playing it, perhaps it will stay that way. But what do you guys think? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.